Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome back to Scatter Love Tarot. It's your girl coming at you with another pick a card reading. First, I would like to say thank you to everyone that continues to be a supportive part of the journey with me. And if you're new here, welcome. This is a reminder that we're all here sharing this human experience together, and that this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. We do things differently here on this channel. So with that in mind, if the message happens to resonate, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you are interested in supporting the channel further, please check out the description box. It will have everything that you need. Very quickly, I would like to mention that on my readings, should there be triggers that do arise, there's no need to force it to fit. However, remembering that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to continue deepening our healing as well. So today we are digging into your past life. We're just going to kind of get a glimpse at it and see what comes up. And I really felt called to using the Wild Unknown Archetypes Guide, an oracle while we're at this by Kim Kranz. I have every one of her decks, and I just love her as an artist and a deck creator. But first, let us go ahead and hop into our prayer, and then we'll go from there and see what comes out. This is just meant to be a fun, curious reading. Okay. My beloved source, this prayer is for anyone and everyone that comes onto this reading, whether it's for the entire time or for a moment's time. Today I ask that you bring forth that knowing and that confirmation that's weighing on our intuition. Things that may have followed us from a past life or a previous life, or even if we don't believe in past life, something that has followed us from the life that we've lived up until now. And knowing that it's not who we are, even if it's something that we carry, it is something that we can choose to put down. And maybe that's not something that easily comes as a decision to many of us, but that with your help, your love, and your support, that we will find a way that suits each and every one of us to be able to lay down those burdens, either where we stand or at your feet, so that you can transmute them into something more positive and more conducive for our journey moving forward. That even in these fun readings, we can still dig deep into our psyche and understand more about ourselves. To truly see beyond the shroud and the veil that we've put up because of fear or uncertainty or worry or anxiety or even anger and suffering. That what lies beyond is something more, something precious, something that is imperfectly perfect and deserves our attention, our love, and our presence. Thank you for assisting us in these manners. As these words are spoken upon this tribe and onto this reading, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. All right, let me get that set up over here. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to shuffle these. I have small hands, and so shuffling these cards is a little bit uncomfortable. But let's get into it and see. Source, what messages would you like to come through today for your past life, for my fellow humans? Your past life, my fellow humans. Whoa. Your past life. What would you like us to know, source? Your past life. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Your past life. Source, what would you like to come through? All right, pile number 1, your past life. Source, what archetype oracle card is going to help us better understand pile number 1's past life? Pile number 1's past life. It's interesting because I'm getting this energy where it's like maybe you're afraid that the reason you've suffered so much in this life has been product of what you were in your past life, like worrying that you did something really, really difficult in your past life. That's what I'm getting for pile 1. So for pile number 2, your past life. Yeah, thank you, source. Yeah, right away. So pile number 1 is a little concerned about their pile, and that's okay, right? There's no need to fear what's going to come out. Pile number 3, your past life. Yeah. Thank you. All right, collective energy. We have the vision on the bottom, the vision. It's interesting. I feel like for many of you in your past life, it was about learning what it meant to trust the gut feeling and the intuitive notions that were coming to you at any one given moment. Not trusting just solely in what people were telling you. Not just trusting things at face value, but rather allowing yourself to explore beneath the surface. And I do feel like many of you had mastered or were gaining mastery in a past life of trusting that intuition, trusting that guidance, trusting the mystery as well. But there's also some issues here that are coming through where there was this reservation where it was something you had to keep to yourself. Many of you could have recollections or past dreams where you may have been a witch and accused of being a witch in a past life. Others of you hid, and you hid in like the forests, or you hid in very small villages away from big towns because you were on the run because of being accused of witchcraft or being accused of using some form of magic, or that you were touched by a negative entity because of your ability to have visions, whether that was through your dreams or prophetic visions in the physical realm, or just knowing things that you weren't supposed to know, that no one was supposed to know. And sometimes that's scary, right? Like, even in this day and age when spirituality is so open and people are realizing that being psychic or having visions is a thing. Like, it's a real thing. There's a lot of people who experience it. There's a lot of people who have dreams that tell them what's going to happen, not only to themselves, but to other people, right? And there's mediums, and we see this growing community of people, but in past lives we may have had to shelter ourselves from the outside world because of fear of what could potentially happen. This also feels like this is the shedding of the skin, shedding of the past burden, and coming into a moment of regrowth. So we have 55 here, which is a master number as well. And that's about change. It's also, when we add it together, number 10 being about the completion of a cycle and stepping into a very abundant time in your life. So we have the dream, the imagined, and the revealed. Look at art you loved when you were young. Listen to old records and poems. These are all ways to activate the vision. It says you can gauge how connected you are to your vision by how tired you are. Since the vision feeds us energy, it affects our life force and vitality. It is said that we are each born with a unique vision, a destiny toward which we are aimed. It is also said that we forget this vision the moment we are born. Thus, we are sent on a lifelong journey of rediscovery. Such is the elusive nature of the vision. It slips away, yet it guides us. It appears in strange dreams and surreal images, seemingly unattainable and preposterous. When we are connected to the vision, we carry an inspired, enchanted aliveness that others recognize. We trust the world and its synchronicities. We walk through new doors into wondrous opportunities. We all want to be near those with vision. They emit energy more potent than any elixir. When we lose connection to the vision, life becomes dull and exhausting, lacking meaning. Bring back the mystery. Bring back the dream. So when light, your potent imagination, you're tied to synchronicity and you trust. When disconnected, or when dark, you're disconnected from art and the dreams, listless and aimless. To go deeper, check out Twin Peaks by David Lynch and also The Dream by Frida Kahlo. It's interesting. Frida Kahlo has been coming up quite a bit in my day-to-day. So it's interesting that it would also come up here. Like literally the last 2 days, Frida Kahlo has been coming up in everything. Her art and her as a person. And I don't know her entire story, but definitely someone to check out for sure. And I think that that's really telling because it feels like this was something you were trying to do in a past life, was to manifest the vision that you had, but ended up seeking it your entire life. You've come into a sense of mastery now, and so now it's about stepping forward, but there's still reservations here of being who you want to be or who your soul is telling you that you're meant to be. And that's okay. It's just about stepping into that empowered self and letting your heart guide the way. Okay, so for pile number 1, we do have this amethyst for you to choose from. Or we have this dice with Mercury on it. Pile number 2, we have this polished rock for you to choose from. We have this dice with Jupiter on it. And pile number 3, we have this amethyst for you to choose from. Or we have this dice with Pluto on it. So we have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. And whichever pile you feel drawn to, that should be the pile for you. And I'll see you over there. Let's have fun. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Mercury on it, or if you happen to be called to this amethyst, or if you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your past life reading. Thank you to anyone who continues to be a supportive part of this journey. And if you're new, welcome. We are all here sharing this human experience together. This is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. We do things completely differently here on this channel. With that in mind, if the message does happen to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And quickly, I would like to mention that there is always a potential for triggers to come out, that you do not have to force it to fit. However, remembering that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to dig deeper into our healing. So this is meant to be a fun reading. We're going to see what comes out, and yeah, we'll just let Source take over. So with that being said, Source, what would you like to tell us about pile number 1's past life? Your past life, pile number 1. Source, what would you like to share with us? Your past life, pile number 1. Okay, so we've got the 3rd house. We have Leo energy, and we have Venus. You know, it's almost like I was getting in the beginning when I was shuffling. I don't know if you saw the shuffle or not, but I did mention it in the shuffle. There was a lot of hesitation for learning what your past life could be, because there's this thought that's coming up that I must have been someone really terrible in a past life because my current life has been very difficult. And I feel like that is a misunderstanding of our lives. If you believe in past lives, all of our past lives are a culmination. And in some lives, we're going to be really positive. And in some lives, we're going to be not so positive. And not looking at it as like, man, I must have been someone so terrible to bring all these challenges that are in my current life. Being human is to experience challenge and suffering and pain and hardships, because that's what this realm is all about. So rather than seeing it as something that you potentially did, which it's usually not tied to that, although it could be tied to karmic lessons, which is just saying we haven't learned how to deal with or face this challenge. Not something that you necessarily did. It's something that is genetically coded in us from either our lineage or something that is a memory of a time past forgotten. And I feel like for you, Pile 1, there's a lot of resistance that's coming through, but it's interesting because with the dice here, it's showing that you were some sort of leader that people looked up to and you enjoyed it thoroughly. And I actually feel like in this life, that's something that you do enjoy as well, is that you like to help others, you like to be there for others, and you like to offer a helping hand. And with the 3rd house and Leo energy, it's showing that, you know, maybe you helped your siblings in a past life. You were the one that supported your family. You could have been the oldest child and all the younger children looked up to you and came to you for guidance, for wisdom. You were the one that held the wealth, whatever that meant in that life. It could have been a great abundance of money, but it could have also been just a wealth of knowledge. And we're not looking at wealth of knowledge as equal to wealth of money when it's actually technically more, and it holds more value than monetary gain. But I do see that you were a very loyal person in your past life, and that you did what you could to help others find value and worth with their journey. And I feel like people really admired you because you were confident and courageous. And I feel like that was something that you stepped into at a very young age. Like, it was almost as if, like, if you were the oldest child and then the next child that was born under you could have been years apart. Like, you could have been already 7 or 10 or even 12. And they were born a lot younger than you, and you stepped in and started helping as a parent, even though it wasn't your job, but it was something you took a lot of pride in. It was something that you were very grateful to have this role in your family. And then as your siblings grew older, they learned to look up to you like a father or a mother. And you were much more to them than a sibling. You were the person that they could rely on, that they could come and talk to, that they could count on to always have their back. It's interesting that in your reading, we already have this energy coming out, but it's about other people and how they saw you and how you were there for them. I do feel like you were a bit stubborn at times. So this feels like you were stubborn when it came to the people who were closest to you. You did not back down. You didn't back down. So it's like if you needed something or you wanted something or your family needed or wanted something, like you didn't back down until you got it. You would go to any lengths to make sure that they had everything that they needed. Let's see, your past life, pile number 1. I feel like people misunderstood you in your past life, and they, so I'm getting this weird energy that's coming through where, when people see a brother and a sister really, really close and they misinterpret it. Like, oh, a brother and a sister can't be that close. Why are we normalizing siblings who fight like cat and dogs and not normalizing siblings who stand up for each other and value each other? And so I feel like that's something that may have been misinterpreted in your past life, was like not that you had bad intentions, but that, like, how can you be their sibling? You don't treat them like a normal sibling. But for you, it was about caring for them, because you did care for them. You saw them at their most dependent stage. Your past life, pile number 1. Source, what would you like to share with us? Yeah, see, and that's the thing. I don't feel like maybe you did have a lot of money. Like, I am hearing nobility coming through here, or like just a higher name. And having a good background, but I'm also feeling like that wasn't yours, even though it was your namesake, right? Like it was connected to your name. I do feel like there was someone here in your life who that was theirs, and they maybe lorded that over you, and so you took care of the kids, you took care of the siblings. And you were the one that looked out for them because there was no one else there to do that. Or the parents in the situation, they weren't really caring about you as kids or you as family. It was just, oh, this is what people do. We get married, we have kids because that's what people do. But they weren't even looking for that. They didn't want that. So on the bottom of the deck, we have the 9 of Wands. There could have also been someone here who was sick, or that was one of the siblings was sick. So you may actually have that as something that's mirrored in this life, where you're taking care of someone who's gotten sick or someone who hasn't been very healthy, and you're feeling burdened because it's something that you're doing, and it's a mirror. It's like a mirror coming back. But I definitely feel like there's this energy that you had to step up in a way that was not required, but necessary, because otherwise what would have happened? Yeah, it has to do with your actions. This is interesting. So much fire. We have Aries and Sagittarius out on, and Leo. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. We have Virgo energy as well. So if you have your main 3, like if you have an Aries rising, a Leo sun, and a Sagittarius moon, if all 3 of your main hitters are in fire, this is especially what you've gone through in a past life. And if not, that's okay. You can just have a lot of fire in your chart, or like a fire trine in your chart. But there's this energy where it's like there was a fear of poverty. There was a fear of not having enough. There was a fear of always being less than, even though there's something that was tied to the name. Even though you came from a family that had more than enough, you as a human knew what it was to suffer, because there was someone who is incredibly manipulative and very toxic in your lives. So you could have been being taken care of by like a distant relative, or you had a father who was incredibly greedy and your mother may have died at a young age, or vice versa, a mother who's very greedy, your father died at a young age, or a step parent who came in. And it was seen, I feel like you saw a lot of illness and you saw a lot of things like break away, and you watched as other people benefited from something that was yours by name, but you never got to experience because of the situation at hand. And I feel like that was really frustrating, and that might actually be something that comes up now. It's like where you work extra hard and you're always feeling like you have to work extra hard to get anywhere in life. And you're watching other people step up into the spotlight or into higher positions or getting more money or having better lives. And it just seems like every time you take 10 steps back, you're taking 20, or 10 steps forward, you're taking 20 steps back. And it feels frustrating. But that is something that you've carried over from the past life, is this poverty mindset of believing that no matter what is rightfully yours, that you'll never receive it. And that, I feel like, is something that you're learning about in this lifetime to let go of. That it's okay for you to receive. Yeah, this was family. Wow, thank you for that confirmation, source. This was family. So family was not your family. You had to be family to the young ones. You had to be the one that they looked up to, because if it weren't for you, there were much worse things that could have happened along the way. Wow. I never know just where these readings are going. Didn't I say you could have a fire trine? And we have trine energy coming out here. Angelic support, harmony, and perfect flow. Yeah, you actually, this is like depositing goodness into the karmic bank, if you will, because you did what was right. And you weren't greedy, and you saw what greed did to people, but now it's just letting go of that belief that you deserve to live in poverty, or that no matter what, you're going to live in poverty. And so you're actually getting a lot of angelic help this time around, but it's just finding that flow, that state of surrender for yourself so that you can manifest what you want. Look at that. Oh my goodness. What just happened? We have fire energy with Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, confidence, optimism, passion, and bravery. You were already confident in this past life. Like, you had a lot of confidence. People looked up to you, even when you grew up older. Like, yeah, your siblings did, but I feel like people around you as you got older, they really gravitated towards you. And this is especially true if you have a fire trine in your chart, okay? Because I can't make that up. That was so synchronistic. We have trine and fire coming out together. Whoa! Wow, that's crazy. Okay, let's see what else. Your past life, pile 1. Oh, thank you, source. Okay, on the bottom we have Chiron. Yeah, focus on healing. Okay, so again, that confirmation. This is a part of your lesson, the South Node, what you're meant to let go of, but it's also part of healing, and it's a deep cut wound. This, I'm have no problem helping people around me. I have no problem standing up for the people that need a voice or need someone in their corner. But the hardest thing I feel like you have, pile 1, to receive. That's the hardest thing for you, is to receive and to feel worthy of receiving what it is that you're asking for. And this is what you're healing in this lifetime. And this is definitely a huge focal point of this current life. Wow. So synchronistic. All right. Your past life, pile number 1. Now is a lucky time. So this set you up for success in this life. And it might seem kind of counterintuitive or counterproductive. Like, why would I have to live a life in poverty in order to have a life of abundance. But that's just sometimes how it works. It's because we need to clear out those old beliefs, or those old, they're the frequencies that we carry with us from life to life, right? And so whatever frequencies you gather in this life, that's going to carry on to the next life. And that's exactly what has happened here. It's a frequency that you carried, and having to do, especially with the 10 of coins in the reverse, having to do with unfairly distributed wealth. It's this feeling like someone took an inheritance from you. This is that feeling that someone took money that was rightfully yours, or took a home that was rightfully yours. And that vibration attached itself to you, and it carried it into this life, where that's also something that you may wonder, like, why do I feel this way? Or why do I feel like I can never get ahead? And that's that vibration that you're letting go of, so you can step up into a more abundant, stable time with Rabbit Spirit here. Canary Spirit, sing your own song. Yeah, it's time for you to create the life that you desire. All right, let's see what else. Your past life, pile 1. Your past life. Whoa. Thank you. On the bottom, we have Goose. Take time to rest and recuperate rather than continue your striving. So you work extra hard, and that's something that you learned from this past life. You were someone who never, ever, ever stopped. You were always on the go, always putting 100% to the gas. Pedal to the metal. And just going. And that's something that you still do in this life. And so this is a life that you're meant to receive abundance without feeling like you have to go 1,000 miles an hour. But you were someone who learned a lot of value in working hard, and I feel like that's where you found the most solace at in this past life, because at times you felt like a failure. I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. And you weren't a failure. You were actually incredibly successful. And to the people looking in on your life, they saw you as a shining star in the community and a shining star in the family. At least the family that you stood up for and took care of, because you were the glue that held everybody together. It wouldn't surprise me. Like, I'm definitely getting someone wearing a black top hat here. Someone that maybe in like the early 1900s or the mid 1800s energy coming in. At the very beginning, I was getting like 1600 energy. This is not like a life that was super, super long ago. I feel like this is a more recent life that you've lived. Right? And time is linear, so we're actually experiencing all these realities at one time. We're just more conscious in one reality than we are in another. It's kind of like the multiverse type energy, if you will. Yeah, on the bottom, look, relationships. I'm attracted to those people who serve my higher good. You struggle right now with trusting people because there was someone in your past life that was you were meant to be able to rely on, and you couldn't. You became the pillar of strength. And now there's times where it's like, oh, I just have to do it myself because I can't rely on anybody. And that's what you're also letting go of. Your past life, pile number 1. Thank you, Source. Okay, on the bottom, ideation. Yeah. You had a lot of creative ideas in your past life as well. Like, how you supported your family came from incredibly creative ideas. I'm seeing someone who is doing like a printing press. I'm also seeing someone who is selling goods to people and using the money from that to buy more expensive goods and so on and so forth until you're able to get what it is that you want or to survive. So definitely very clear about who you were in this past life and what you needed to do. Let's see if there's a shadow aspect to your past life that's coming through. What is a shadow aspect that's coming through from pile number 1's past life? Your past life. I feel like people wish they were as smart as you and that they had as much as you had. But for you, it wasn't that way. We have self-righteous. acts spiritually superior, condescending, and preachy. So there's this energy where, again, that manipulative energy is coming in. Someone who's very self-righteous, who is like lording over you what was rightfully yours. We have tangled, unable to free yourself from a sticky situation. A step back helps you see clearly. So this is Source clearly saying when you take those 10 steps forward and it feels like you're taking 20 steps back, the reason for that is so that you can see clearly what it is that you're doing. Are you actually moving in alignment with what it is that you want? Or is it that the fear of failure is driving you, or the fear of not having enough, is that driving you? We have the dark side on the bottom. Your dark side keeps you from enjoying the love you have. Don't let it steal your joy. So we do see that this is still a part of your shadow coming in and playing a huge role in your current life. Your past life, pile 1. Your past life. Thank you, Source. On the bottom, purpose. Discover and live your life's purpose. So you already started discovering what your purpose was in this past life. But because there was so much shaky ground and because there was so much ups and downs, it was hard for you to truly focus on what it is that you wanted. And I feel like you know where it is that you want to go in this life, but you still have that fear that's driving your actions. And as you let go of that fear and learn to trust, you're opening up to the potential and the possibility. I feel like I want to do this one first. Wisdom. Yeah, you are someone who had a lot of wisdom and knowledge. Seek wisdom and learn from every situation. Wow, I didn't even hear the train coming and the horn was all of a sudden there. So you had so much to offer. You had so much to share with others. They looked up to you. Okay. And that's something that they're all different how they do the horn. They're all different. And I can't change it because it's literally right there, guys. Yeah, this is something that people came to you for wisdom. So you could have been like the person that everybody in town came to in order to get help, to get assistance. Like, I really feel like you had some sort of leadership role. You could have been a mayor, or you could have been like even a sheriff or something along those lines. Shadow period. So again, seeing this, proceed with caution. It is still part of your shadow. Like, Source is being very clear, like why we're talking about the present life is because this is something that's still playing a role in your present life. The moon, cue up the cuddles. This is something that you need to feel into. Like, what is your emotions leading you to when it comes up? Like, when you're afraid to move forward, or when you're afraid to embrace the life that you have, what's coming up for you, and feeling into that so that you can let it go. We have boar, pig with face your problems. Wow, thank you for that confirmation. Face your problems head on with confidence and courage, and you will emerge victorious. Yeah. I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit for just how truly confident you are, even in this life. You definitely didn't in this past life, but even in this life, that confidence is something that has come with you. And I feel like sometimes you make yourself feel small because you're like, oh no, I don't have confidence like other people. When most people are looking at you, pile 1, and they're like, man, I wish I was as confident as pile number 1. My life would be so much easier if I were as confident as pile number 1. And for you, I feel like you do that same thing to others. You're like, oh, I wish I was as confident as so-and-so. Because you're not giving yourself enough credit. Faith. So this situation that you experienced in your past life was teaching you to have faith. To trust in the process, and to know that even when things aren't always easy and effortless, that it doesn't mean that they don't hold purpose. So let's take a look at your card. I'm going to read this from the book. Yeah, look, the mentor. Wow. Number 6. Seeing yourself through the eyes of the divine. Solutions, resolutions, giving yourself unconditional love, balance and harmony coming through. With the owl here, wisdom. We had wisdom coming out here. Faith, trusting in the unknown and in the universal plan, the divine plan. I see this also feels like a burning of the past, like you're leaving behind something from the past. And I feel like it's the shadow that has followed you from this past life. You will overcome it. It's about trusting in yourself right now and embracing that. Wow, I opened up right to it. I literally only had one hand and I picked up the top page like this and I opened right to it. Wow. So synchronistic. The teacher, didn't I say like you helped taught them, or like you were the person they looked up to? The sage and the guru. Keep in mind how easy it is to project power onto another. The expression feet of clay and cult of personality exists for a reason. Says, although it is typically true that parents are our initial teachers, I can't. The child will eventually seek a mentor figure outside of the home to assist their growth. The child, I feel like this is like you became that mentor. Even if you were in the home with them, you're the one. It is said that cosmic knowledge pours down on the world like a great illuminated waterfall. This can be an overwhelming force. The true teacher, though, is said to be able to hold this flow of wisdom at bay while the student sips from a focused stream. The mentor archetype has a gift for reading the room, for sensing the exact ingredient that will stimulate growth within the student, whether pleasant or painful. The mentor may appear aloof or available, harsh or tender, humorous or rigid. Their gift is to know what serves the soul. Ultimately, the mentor is in service of the greater cosmic good and aids in the elevation of consciousness. Anytime the mentor forgets this humble link and mistakes themselves for the source of enlightenment, the archetype falls into the shadow. When in light, you're focused, clear, bright, you remain a student. When in dark, you tend to be self-serving, envious of youth, rigid, and righteous. Oh, and we had self-righteousness. So maybe in your past life, you became self-righteous after having dealt with so many difficult people, which is no reason to blame yourself, right? It was just a valid reaction to a horrible situation. It says, go deeper. The riddles of Zen masters and their students. And I feel like that's something to look at too, right? It's like trauma response. I love that this is coming up right now, but trauma response, any response to trauma is valid. And so you had your own trauma that you were experiencing in that lifetime. And if you did turn out to be self-righteous in that lifetime, with it to come out twice here, it's just showing that indignation of being treated in a certain way, you had to protect yourself, right? Like, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong. You just chose to go this route, but also seeing that others looked up to you, regardless of how you showed up. Even if you were very cynical and rigid, people still came to you for advice. And this is who you were in your past life. So this is what I see for you, pile one. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little owl emoji down below and say, by choosing to fly through the flames of my past and let go of the shadow, I open up into the truth of my here now here moment. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything in the description box. I would like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very powerful message. And until next time, pile one, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Jupiter on it, or if you were called to this tumbled rock, or perhaps you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your past life reading. I want to say thank you to anyone and everyone that continues to be a supportive part of the journey with me. I'm truly honored to be sharing this time and space. If you're new here, welcome. We are all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. We do things completely differently here. That in mind, if it does resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Also knowing that sometimes trigger statements and situations will come up in my readings. There's no reason to force it to fit. And also, if a trigger does arise, that is an opportune time for us to dig deeper into our healing. So with that being said, let's hop to it and find out what your past life is. And remembering these are just for fun. So, your past life, pile number 2, Source, what would you like to share with us today? Your past life. What would you like to come through, Source? Oy. Sorry, my nose is itching. Oy. Okay. So we've got the 3rd house, we've got Cancer energy, and we've got the North Node, or I'm sorry, the South Node. Okay. You were the favorite. Like that, I'm just saying that came out right away. This energy of being the favorite in the family. You were the one that everybody expected to take over the family name. You were the one that had the burden of being the favorite. And if you're not a favorite in this life, you might be like, what kind of a burden is that? Because if you had another sibling that was the one that was always looked up to, it might seem like their life is easy. However, I will mention this, that oftentimes if you ever have that conversation with your sibling, you might recognize that they're actually under a lot more pressure than you could imagine, because you're seeing it from your perspective and you're not actually honoring where they're at and what they're going through. And so sometimes when the favorite comes up, it's just such a sore subject, and there's a lot of resentment, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of suffering there. And I feel like that's what you had in a past life. You were the favorite, and there was a lot of resentment from other siblings here. And it became so bad that there was a lot of codependency as well. I do feel like this was codependency from a mother. So in a past life, you could have been a man, and you didn't have to be, but I do feel like there was this energy of being a man in a past life, and you were required to take on all of the responsibility. And there was a person who was older than you that was incredibly dependent on you. And it could have been a sibling. It could have been an older sibling. Like maybe you had a sibling who wasn't doing very good or wasn't capable of retaining the information that was necessary to step up into a lead position. And it fell onto your shoulders and you had to take it, and everybody looked to you to take care of that. Or there was a wild child and you were the one that was the straight edge. And I mean, I don't feel like you were very cruel, but I do feel like you were cold. I feel like there's times when you just really had to disconnect from everybody because there was so much pressure on you. And having to deal with this codependent situation, it even further disconnected you from being able to connect with others. Let's see what comes out in the cards. The energy is really strong today. All right, your past life. Source, what more would you like to say? Yeah, I do feel like you maybe were a heartbreaker as well. You know, and looking at situations that happened in the past life, it can also mirror in our current lives, but we could be on the reverse side, and knowing that that's not because we did that in our past life. It's just these are situations that wouldn't have otherwise come up for us to heal. And that's why I feel like it's so important to remember that when sometimes these situations get not so everything we want to hear, that there's something that we need to hear. But I do feel like you were definitely driven by a sense of duty is what's coming through. Is like you had to do everything with a certain belief in mind, or like it was like non-negotiable. Yeah, you were a heartbreaker. Okay. Oh, your past life, pile number 2. Oof. Okay. Yeah, so it could have been a mother who was incredibly dependent on her son. And before you even get any other cards, I mean, this depicts that perfectly. You have the Empress, who's the mother of the tarot, and then you have the Knight of Wands, who is an immature, sexually driven child who sees things from an immature place, but because of that being sheltered, she's holding the wand over his head, and he's unsure because of past situations. Okay, and so we see that coming through here with the energy. But I feel like that's the thing, like you never had an opportunity to experience life on your own, because maybe that was the kicker, was that your mom was the non-negotiable here. Like you had to care for her, or this could have been an older sister or something like that, but it's like you had to take care of all those burdens, and everybody was holding that, especially whoever is represented by this Empress here was holding that over your head. Your past life. Oh, thank you. On the bottom of the deck. Yeah, wow. We have the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. So there's a lot of misfortune in your life. There was a lot of ups and downs. I feel like there's a lot of people that hurt you, and you also hurt a lot of people for not knowing better, right? It was just, this is the situation. You're feeling so pressured to become someone and be someone that you don't want to be, and feeling like you're going to explode and want to run away, and you maybe saw other siblings in your family who had freedoms and you didn't, and you were like, oh my gosh, like I just want to live like they're living, but you had no way out. What's the reversal of fortune here? Yeah, instability. Someone was having an issue with finances. Okay, so if you had a single mother in your past life, you could have had a single father in this life, okay? You could have still had a single mother in this life, but you could be, instead of being a man, you could be a woman, or you could be non-binary, or whatever, or identify with the divine feminine, or whatever it is, but there's this mirroring energy that I see coming up here. And for you, it felt like if we only had more money, if we only had something that was more stable, then we would not have been dealt the hand that we were dealt. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it was a lost cause. I feel like you got involved and swindled by a lot of people in life. Like they saw that you were struggling and they used that against you. And so you did your best to try to win fortune for the family. You also could have had a gambling addiction. That's coming through as well. And that might be something, maybe you've dealt with addictions in this life. It doesn't necessarily have to be you, but you could be surrounded by people who have addictions, or someone very close to you is fighting with a very severe addiction. And that's because you yourself experienced that in the past life. And it's interesting that South Node would come up, because South Node literally connects us with our past life. And so it's something that we're healing as we're going through in order for us to stand up into our North Node. But it does feel like there's a sense of lack of self-worth. Feels like that no matter whatever you did in this past life, nothing was ever going to be enough to get you out of this hole that was, you were born buried into. And I feel like there's even still a lot of anger. Like you could have been a very angry child in this life and no one knew why. Like why is pile 2 so angry? Like why does pile 2 throw so many temper tantrums? Why does pile 2 always have these angry outbursts? Or even as a teenager, when you got into being a teenager, like everything made you upset. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just that was remnants, like residual energy left over from this past life. And I feel like there was just someone here who's super overprotective of you, and you had problems with a mother figure in your life. Okay, and they were excessively involved in your life. So it's like saying, like, it's almost like you could have been in nobility, but you didn't have to be. This could just be an expectation. So maybe they expected you to become a doctor, or they expected you to become a lawyer, or they expected you to go into politics, or they expected you to become the man of the house. Right? There's these expectations. Again, that's what this feels like right off the bat. These expectations that were over you by a mother in your past life. And there was a lot of instability here because in everything that you did, and I feel like that's a thing, like she was overly involved in your life, but she also dipped her hand in the cookie jar too many times and created a lot of the instability that you guys were living in. It's like, maybe your mother had a gambling problem, or she had an addiction that she was trying to feed. And that's where a lot of this reversal from fortune was put on your shoulders to fix her problem, and it wasn't yours to fix. And so that might be something that you're currently dealing with in this lifetime, where it's like, I feel so responsible for everybody in my family. Like it's my job to fix their problems, but it's not. And that's what you're learning to let go of in this life. Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of danger in your life. And there were a lot of mood swings. So this could be, maybe there was a mental disorder with your mother, or some sort of like bipolar or narcissistic energies coming through as well. You might feel like this is very resonant to your current life. And the mirroring is that it's so that you can let this go, because it feels like you lived your life all in this Page of Wands energy in the reverse. And so it was like your rebellion was breaking hearts. And again, not necessarily intentionally. It was just, I feel like you were a player in your past life. Like you slept with a lot of people and you didn't settle down. You didn't get married. You were viewing all of life from when you first got injured as a child. And that gave it that it was like very mischievous. Like I feel like you were very mischievous in your life. Like you snuck out all the time. You maybe got involved with married women, and you just really didn't care. If you were a woman, the same thing, you got involved with married men or married people. It doesn't have to be just men and women. It could, you could have gotten as a man involved with other men. You could have been as a woman involved with other women. But it was very scandalous. Whatever you were doing was very scandalous. And I feel like your mother knew about all of that. But in order to maintain face, she buried a lot of that under the carpet. And so she enabled you to act out the way that you were acting. But I also feel like when you did act out, when you came back, she was even worse with you. And it was, you felt completely powerless. Like it was just a situation you were stuck in. And I feel like you lived in that your whole life. And by the time your mother had passed away, there was this feeling of like, I'm just too old to change. And so you didn't. And you kept holding on to this old and outdated pattern. Like there was no reason for you to change at that point. Like, well, this is just how I've lived my life up until now. So what's the point of doing something different? And so this was just something that was too heavy for you. And that's why I said in this life, like you might have noticed a sibling that is a favorite in your life that's not you. And you might be like, well, they have it easy. But I feel like if you actually stopped for a moment and said, hey, can we have a conversation? And can we not yell at each other? Can we not fight about this? I just want to tell you where I'm coming from and how I feel and what it looks like to me. And I want you to do the same. You would probably understand that they probably think that you have all the freedom and that you don't have to deal with mom and dad's bickering. You don't have to deal with mom and dad's expectations. Like they just let you do whatever. Even if for you it feels like, well, but they neglect me and you're the star child and they only care about your accomplishments and I can't do anything good enough. And I feel like you both will be really surprised at how the other feels if you were to actually have this conversation in this lifetime. And that resentment would actually melt away because you'd realize that it's an age-old situation where unfortunately our generations have pitted siblings against each other without realizing the harm that it does, especially with the third house here, you know, siblings and peers. But I keep feeling sibling here, and we don't see your sibling depicted in the in the reading, but I keep feeling like there's another party here that you overshadowed in this life. And for you, it was just like you saw their freedom and you wanted to live like them. So that freedom was given to you in this lifetime, but also the same thing is seeing it from their eyes. And so you're seeing it from their perspective now. But because you only remember this lifetime, it feels like that's the only perspective you've ever gained, is what I feel in this lifetime. But it's not. This is the old pattern that has held on to you for a very long time. It's been on your it's been encoded in your soul DNA, your past life. And you could have dealt with cheaters in this life, or you could have been someone who cheated. And again, I'm not here to judge, right? Like, I'm not here to be like, oh, how could you? Like, we have to remember that every decision that a person makes is what they felt is right in that moment. We don't know what they were going through. We don't know what they were feeling. And so for us to say like what they did was wrong, there is no right or wrong, right? That person made a decision that they felt was right for them in that moment, and there's always going to be consequences. So just remember, that's where I come from, is that place. Of course there's consequences, but what those consequences are, we're never mine to dish out. They're not ours to dish out to other people. So that's for them to face when the time comes. So you could have been someone who's cheated on someone in this lifetime, or you could have also been cheated on in this lifetime. And no, it's not punishment for how you were in your past life. It's just the pattern is repeating, and it's repeating in a different way to see if I come at it this way, is this something that my soul is going to help me follow the path to let go? Yeah, house 4. So a lot of family dynamics. What you've experienced in this lifetime is something that you've experienced in a past lifetime, but very much switched. We have cultural and family roots, home, peace, and comfort. Yeah, so I feel like there's a prejudgment here when you're seeing maybe your own siblings or your own family. It could even be cousins. It doesn't have to be siblings. It could be cousins. You know, and you're thinking, oh, they have it so easy. They've got it this way. They've got it this way. And you're not realizing like, oh, they actually are struggling because they're seeing you as having what they don't have, right? On the bottom, we have retrograde, reflect, refine, redo. Yeah, so this is like a redo. Reversal. You see how it's rewinding here? So this is a reversal. This is a rewind. It's an opportunity for you to let go of this old belief. So we had the sun. It flipped out with a group of cards, but I took the ones that were showing. We have the sun that shines, sparkle, and still the spotlight. I do feel like there's an eclipse energy here where you feel like you're eclipsed by somebody. And you want to steal the spotlight. And it's not realizing that you already are in your own spotlight, but it's like, I want to impress somebody. I want someone to say, wow, I did a good job, or I validate you, and recognizing that that's not actually going to fill up the void that we've experienced our entire lives, being in the shadow of someone else, or even being the sun in someone else's life. That's not going to fill up that hole, that void. We have the 6th house with get rid with responsibilities, right? Daily routines, our health, our well-being. And I feel like this has to come down to our mental well-being here. It's what are we doing in this moment to take care of ourselves and our mental well-being and our emotional well-being? Because there's definitely an old pattern that's driving you, that's coming from a place of hurt. And that's okay. That's okay. It's just making it aware. And I feel like that's why Source really wanted me to do this reading today. It's like making an old pattern that's been following you for lives. Is making that aware, right? Yeah, porcupine mind, or porcupine spirit. Time for a beginner mind. So going back to the basics and trying again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And that's what this feels like. It's just giving you an opportunity to try again. And that's what we saw here with the retrograde energy. It's like the rewind and repeat. Rewind and refine. You know, it's interesting. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie with Jack Black, but it's coming up. And this might be synchronistic to you or have meaning to you, but Be Kind and Rewind. It's an old movie. It's a really good movie, but it makes me think of that. You know, back when I was a kid, we had video stores, and the video stores had VHS, and we had to rewind our VHS before we return them to Blockbuster, Showtime, or Movies with 2 O's, or whatever it is that you had in your area. And it just made me think of that. It's like, you know, it's like be kind, rewind. And I feel like with that energy, be kind, rewind. That's what Source is saying. Like, I'm being kind so you can rewind. But it doesn't feel like kindness, because for us, we're labeling kindness as someone who makes sure that we feel good about ourselves, makes sure that we have everything that we need. But sometimes kindness comes in the form of tough love. We have Dog. Yeah, your loyalty and faithfulness is misplaced by serving too many masters. So this could be that energy coming in where it's like you're wanting validation from the people who raised you. And that's serving too many masters. Well, maybe it's more so aligning with, can I get in touch with a deeper part of myself and recognize that, you know, my siblings have gone through it too. Can I align with my siblings? Is that something that we can even do? Because I know there's a lot of brothers and sisters who don't even talk to each other because they experience life completely different from one another, and they really feel like neither one of them understands each other. But we're not taught to talk about our feelings and our emotions with each other, even though this is somebody we grew up with who's going to understand us better than we might even understand ourselves. But because of our differences and perspectives, we oftentimes let ourselves drift apart from one another rather than having those difficult conversations. Imagination. I embrace and nourish the creative aspect of my mind. Also, that's the other thing here, is getting creative, like not just doing the same thing over and over again. It's allowing yourself to get creative, which is interesting too, because when the Page of Wands is in the upright, it talks about a burst of creativity, something that's brand new, taking that first scary step towards something that you otherwise have been shying away from. On the bottom, abundance. Yeah, so you're meant to come into abundance, but I feel like this is more than monetary gain. I feel like this is emotional and mental abundance, but it's also abundance, right? The people that you surround yourself with. Let's see what a shadow aspect is for your past life. Your past life, pile number 2. What's the shadow? Whoa, flying in, hoity-toity. Yeah. Champagne taste on a beer budget, arrogant and pretentious. So for you, you could have definitely been in this arrogant energy because of the way you were raised. Remembering, like, this is not to poke the bear, right? I'm not over here trying to make it seem like you're a terrible person, because it's not what it is. It's just owning the fact that this could have been who I was in a past life. Like, I could have been really hoity-toity. Like, I was raised to be a certain way, and everybody looked at me this way, and that's why it's like you didn't want those codependent situations. But again, that energy coming in, it's like you snuck out, you got away with everything, and that would definitely put you in that place. But your mother was expecting you to bring in financial stability to the home, but how could you when she had her hand in all the finances and was not trying to create stability? She was just trying to live on a beer budget, but have these champagne tastes as well. So naturally you would learn that as well. Yeah, show off. Needs to prove themselves, insecure and exhibitionist. Wasn't I just talking about needing to prove yourself in this life? Feeling like I want to prove myself. I want to be the one that stands in the spotlight. So we see that coming through from this past life. I love these synchronicities with these readings. All right, let's get one of these. Your past life, pile number 2. Thank you, Source. On the bottom, we have alignment. Align your actions and thoughts with your desires. So what do you really want? And being okay with asking for what you want and knowing that it's not going to just come overnight, but if you take the steps to getting there, it will come. But also this is about aligning your life by letting go of those old resentments that maybe you don't even understand why they exist, right? Sometimes we have feelings that pop up from a past life that we don't even understand why they're here in our current life. And it's just because something is mirroring something that happened in a different lifetime. House 12, spirituality, transcendence, karma, sacrificial service, and healing. So you are definitely healing from something from the past. Scarab beetle spirit, magic works through you. You're going to get through this. Right? We have 7 with 52 here. We have 7, and 7 is all about luck if you change what it is that you're doing. And 7 is also a very spiritual number. Chameleon. What is it? Chameleon. Stay in the background and adapt to the situation rather than being conspicuous and attempting to direct the course of events. So there's a reason why you're meant to watch this from the background right now. And that's actually going to bring great healing for you if you can depict what it's trying to teach you. And it's going to be different for everybody. Judgment. Yeah. I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. So there's been a lot of judgment that has followed you from this past life as well. And that's judgment of self, judgment of others, judgment of situations, judgment of misunderstandings. You know, it's just, and that's okay. That's very human of us too. There's no one saying like, how dare you, pile 2? You're so weird that you have, no, that's a judgment in and of itself, right? So just knowing that that's very human of us. Yeah, space. It's time to make space. It's time to clear out the old and make space for the new. And I feel like space is very scary for you because it feels like a void. And if it's a void, it needs to be filled. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't need to be filled. Gratitude. Practice gratitude daily to attract more blessings. So being grateful for what you have in life. Because I feel like before in your past life, you weren't very grateful for what you had. It was hard for you to be grateful because of what was going on. All right, so let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this one from the book. We have the unseen. Interesting. And for those of you that may be colorblind, which I recognize, there's an eye in the center here, because if you're colorblind, you might not be able to see that. And that is okay. But we have the unseen with 27, which is 9, bringing something to a close. Isn't it interesting? Because I feel like maybe in this life you feel unseen. And in your past life you were too seen, right? Like there was too much, and you didn't want it. And now that you don't have it, there's that again, the opposite is equally true, where it's like, well, I want what I don't have. So let's see. Look, we have the spirit, the ancestor, and the eternal. Being graced by the unseen is a gift. Treat it kindly. Allow yourself to be seen by the eternal eyes. It says guidance comes in many forms. Don't expect it to be glittery, whatever that word is, glittery or comfortable. The spirit world speaks the truth. Sometimes it soothes and sometimes it burns. And that's reality. The unseen is just as it sounds. We cannot see it, yet it sees us, watching and waiting, with wisdom both kind and intrusive. We feel this presence, sense it, intuit it, and then doubt its existence, though it rallies our attention time and time again. The energy of the unseen may come in many forms: a compelling dream, a sudden insight, a clear voice, a vision, or a message from a loved one who has passed to the other side. It is natural to fear these communications as they challenge our perception of what is real. When this card appears, your guides are near. The eternal is present. The doorway between worlds is ajar. Listen. The sounds may seem as though they come from a distant land, but they call for from your innermost chambers. When light, your clairvoyant guidance, whispers of wisdoms, and when in dark, there's dark looming energy, unwillingness to forgive. To go deeper, check out King Hamlet and the Three Fates, as well as The Shining. So the unforgiveness is definitely coming through, but I feel like the unforgiveness is now from both sides. The willingness the unwillingness to forgive someone that was unseen, and now the unwillingness to forgive someone that is seen, which is why it's important to make space. This is the unseen coming with the space card here to help you to relieve yourself from that pressure. And that comes by just trusting in the guidance and letting go of the prior judgment that was there. Easier said than done, I understand, but is possible regardless. So I never know where these readings are going to take us, but they are truly fun to get involved in. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little third eye emoji down below and say, I open up to this space that source, spirit, God, whatever, is trying to bring to me. And I allow it to be, knowing that this space brings me deeper to my truth. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. With that, I would like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very profound message. And until next time, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Pluto on it, if you were called to this piece of amethyst, or if you were happen to be called to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your past life reading. I would like to say thank you to anyone who continues to be a supportive part of the journey. And if you're new, welcome. We are all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. We do things completely differently here on this channel. So that being said, if it does happen to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Also, there may or may not be some triggering statements that arise through any of my readings. You do not, nor are you are not required to force it to fit. And secondly, remembering that when a trigger arises, it is a pristine, opportune time for us to dig in deeper to our healing journey. So let's hop to it and let's find out, what is your past life, pile number 3? Soul Source, what would you like to share with pile number 3 today? Your past life, pile number 3. What would like to come through today, Source? So we've got the first house, we have Aquarius energy, and the Sun. You were very well known. You had a lot of friends. I'm seeing like really fancy parties that you maybe attended, or like galas or balls. This feels really fancy though. It's like where only high society went. You were just really well known, and maybe not just high society. I just feel like maybe you were just really well known and everybody invited you to like family get-togethers or dinner parties or something along those lines. But I also feel like it's interesting because you were very detached. Like, it was like, oh, people like you, and you're like, oh, that's cool. That's nice. Thanks. Like, I don't really care. Like, I don't feel like you cared whether or not people liked you or whether they appreciated you or anything like that. You were very much in your own energy. I feel like you also may have been an inventor, or you were just very, very wise and you knew things on how to like do engineering or something along those lines. To build things. And so you could have built contraptions and different tools for people that were really greatly appreciated, and that's why they liked you so much. But for you, it was all about the joy of being with your craft rather than it was with people. However, people just naturally gravitated towards you, and you were just really liked. And I feel like, honestly, pile 3, like, you just didn't really care that much for people. You're just like, I'd rather just be by myself, but this is what's expected. And so you made an appearance, but it wasn't because you actually wanted to be there. It's like if you had a mom or a grandma who's like, we need you to show up, honey. And you were like, ugh, do I have to? And they're like, yes, it's, you know, you got to talk to so-and-so or do this over. And you're like, okay. And you would literally just show up to make an appearance and walk around the room and potentially just Irish goodbye everyone and peace out. And I feel like that's something that like even made you more desired and wanted to be known by other people. I feel like for you, it's just like, oh, I gotta deal with more people. Really? Okay, well. If it's required, I guess. But it's just not something you would initiate on your own. So, like, if you married someone, like, the person you married was always someone who initiated getting together with others, or you had kids that were like, we have to do this, and you were like, definitely we're not down to do it. But you did it anyways. Your past life. I feel like you knew who you were. Like you knew what you wanted to do. You knew who you were. You may not know who you are in this lifetime. You may be trying to figure out, like, who am I? Like, what's good for me? Like, what am I trying to become? What's my path of purpose? But I do feel like in this lifetime, you just knew exactly what you wanted to do. From an early age, it just was never a question for you. Your past life, pile number 3. Yeah, you had one friend. That's what it feels like. You had one friend that you really trusted. Like, you were surrounded by a lot of people, but I feel like you just had one person who, like, got you. Understood that you didn't like hanging out with a lot of people, gave you your space, but then also, like, you maybe initiated contact with this person. But also, you were very creative and inventive with the Ace of Wands here. You were always inspired. Like, you would go and see things for what they were. Like, maybe you saw a bridge, and when you're looking at the bridge, you're like, oh, I bet I could build that better and in a more useful way. And so you would go and you would design a bridge. And I just feel like you designed a lot, or you were in architecture, or maybe you were a fashion designer or something. Like, you did a lot. Yeah, it was impulsive for you. As soon as you were inspired, no matter what was going on, you would drop it and go and do whatever that was. This is not like you would drop, like, to go hang out with people. No, like, you would literally be somewhere and you would get an inspiration. You'd start taking notes on it, like with a little pocket notebook or whatever, and you would be walking back towards wherever it was that you felt safe enough to create. So whether that was some little shop that you had, or a garage or something like that, or just a basement or a room, and people would be talking to you and you'd just be so engrossed in trying to figure out calculations and figuring out how to build something that you wouldn't even know. And people thought that you were just rude and mean sometimes because of that. But at the same time, it's just honestly, as soon as the creation came through, you were so enamored by it that that's all that existed for you. And I feel like that's why this one friend, like, you actually went out of your way to connect with this one friend, this one person. It could have been a lover, but it feels like more than anything just a friend, someone who got you, who was also inspired by you. And you went out of your way to connect with them a lot. And I feel like maybe in this life, you might have a person who's like that in your life, or that's like something that you really want in your heart of hearts, is just that one person who gets you in and out and just like is there for you no matter what. And it's because you're missing that from your past life. You're missing that someone who just got you and you never had to explain yourself and they just let you be who you were. And maybe in this life, you feel like everybody's trying to tell you what to do, who to be, what's right for you and what's wrong for you. And you don't have that just pillar in your life. And that's something that could really, really hurt. Like, it really hurts. There's like a longing for it. I feel it in my heart space, like a deep longing. It's like everywhere you go, you're looking for this person, but you haven't found them just yet. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you were always surrounded by people, but no one understood you. Like you were kind of like the village croc, you know. But while they might have said things about you behind your back, I tell you what, everybody really benefited from whatever it was that you did. They really benefited from it. So they may have made fun of you, but I tell you what, the ones who spoke the loudest and made the most fun of you, they were the first ones standing in line for whatever it was that you did. And I feel like that's the thing, like, it was probably why you were the way that you were. You just didn't care. You just didn't care. You probably heard the rumors. You probably even heard what people said. You probably walked in when people were saying things, but you were so inspired to create something. You could have been an author. You could have been, like I said, an inventor is coming through, like some type of scientist. Maybe you were a healer and you made, different types of healing concoctions with herbs and oils and stuff. Whatever it was, everybody benefited from it. And I don't feel like you asked for anything for it. It was just you wanted to see if it worked. And so you would offer people to use it for free. And that could have been a downfall for you as well. Is like, you were more curious in if it actually worked, that money never seemed to be a focal point for you. And so I feel like that's something that may have been detrimental, where you lost a lot or you lost your home because of it, but you still never stopped inventing. Like you could have been living in a dumpster for all you cared. And as long as you still had access to a certain set of tools and materials that you could pick up anywhere, you could still create, you were fine with that. Like it was never about having a home like a roof over your head. It was never about having money in your pocket. It was always about, what can I create? And so in this life, you may have noticed that there's a complete opposite, where you're really, really worried about finances. You're really, really worried about having a stable home. And you're so worried about those things that you can't create. And so it's like an opposites energy here. And I've gotten at this whole reading, like it feels like there's very opposite energies coming in of present day versus the past. And I mentioned this in another pile, like we're living all these timelines at once. And, time isn't linear. It's all kind of twisted up, like the multiverse and however you want to look at it. And so sometimes it's really hard to think like, well, but this is a past life. Well, it might be a past life, but it's also still present and it's still a part of us. And so it's whichever life we're most conscious in at this moment, most aware of. And that's what's going on. And so we see this energy where you may have fallen from grace, or like may have become the joke of the village or the joke of town because you lost everything. And even if you started asking for money, like no one wanted to pay because their biggest thing was, well, what if it doesn't work? And I feel like at times you were saying, yeah, but you know that they work. You've benefited from them working, and I need to get food and stuff like that. But you still didn't care. You still were in that energy of like, well, I need food. And people were like, well, I'll give you a meal if it works. And you were like, okay, that's cool. Like you weren't so attached to money. You weren't attached to material things. You were attached to your ideas and whether or not they worked. Yeah. And now this has become a subconscious fear for you. Not fitting in, being singled out. Not having money. Not having a friend. Also, not having freedom is coming in as well. I feel like there was a sense of freedom for you, pile 3, like where because you didn't worry about too much, like you just were free to be you. And I do feel like you were envied because of that sense of disconnection. Neptune, dream and transcend. So you could be Pisces or have Pisces first house or Pisces sun. Aquarius moon, Aquarius rising, Sagittarius 3rd house, 10th house, Sagittarius rising, or Neptune, Sagittarius and Neptune. Dream and transcend. Yeah, you knew who you were. You knew what you wanted. But now it's like you're looking through the haze. Like, who am I? What do I want? And it's not that, I mean, maybe you're an inventor in this life too. Maybe you're not. You could have decided to try something else in this lifetime. The 9th house, yeah, spiritual growth. So this was your spiritual growth. This is almost like a life given to you after you had gone through a spiritual transformation in a prior life to that, is what this feels like. You were gifted a time where you could just focus on being who you are. And I don't feel like you ever truly wanted for anything. Like, even if you had nothing, you still never wanted for anything. You didn't want for new clothes. You didn't want for, you know, if cars were around there, a new buggy or a new horse. You didn't want for anything. We have tie up loose ends, the last quarter moon. So this is giving me that energy of the opposites again. What was in one life is what is the shadow now in this life. And finding the balance between the two. Like, how can you come into that fluid place where it's not one extreme or the other, but rather a balancing of the two. I really just feel like you're not even like, and to say you were a free spirit, I don't think that's it. Like, that's not the energy. I'm just getting like you were so focused. It was hyper focused on what you created. Yeah, we have vulture spirit. Nothing is wasted. That, yeah, okay. It's what I was saying. Like, if you lived in a dumpster, you'd be fine. Like, nothing would go to waste for you. You would find a way to create with whatever was around you. Whether it's trash or treasure, it's something that you could use to create. We have trust the great mystery. And you trusted in all of those inspirations that you received. It wasn't too much for you. Like, and if you got a big challenge, you were excited about it because it was something that you had to figure out. Like, you had to really put it together so that it worked. Peacock. Let yourself stand out and be noticed. Yeah. So I was saying, like, you were noticed by everyone, but I don't feel like you wanted to be. It happened, and so you just never tried to go against that. You just were like, oh, okay, well, whatever. Like, it wasn't because you were out there, like, wanting people to notice you. You didn't want people to be like, oh, look, it's pile number 3. No, you were just like, oh, here we go again. This is what everybody wants. Everybody wants to be a part of society. And you're like, I just want to be in my garage with my tools and making my things. That's what I want. On the bottom, yeah, what did I say? People envied you. Envy. I'm the same as everybody else, but with different challenges. Yeah, everybody envied you. They envied how you were able to just be so disconnected. Like, it's, when I say disconnected, like, you just didn't care. You did not care how people thought, what people said. You didn't care. None of it mattered. People could have told you to your face that you were a dirty rat, and you'd have been like, okay, and it's almost like that disconnection. It made everybody not say anything to you because they know that you would never be baited into an argument or trying to fight back. It just wasn't who you were because you knew who you were. You knew what you wanted. You knew what you wanted to do. There was no question about it. Surrender, yeah. The great surrender. That's what I heard right now. The great surrender. You surrendered to the creativity. And you were a creator in your past life. And that might be something that's really important to you in this life, but it might be so important that it's actually elusive. And you're not sure, like, how to find a way to create. Because in the last life, you were just open to it. And you let it happen. What's a shadow aspect for pile 3 past life? Okay, thank you. On the bottom, exit plan. Someone wants out, but they aren't making a move yet. Be prepared for sudden changes. Yeah, you always wanted out. Like, you always wanted an exit plan. I think that's why you were so close to this one person, because they knew when you were getting irritated or when you needed to move on. And so they were someone who came and became that exit plan for you. Okay, let's get one of these. Pile 3, past life. Pile 3, past life. Okay, patience. It says good things come to those who wait. Yeah, like I feel like you were super patient with everybody, with what you were creating, with people around you. Like, I don't feel like you were just cruel or mean or ruthless to people. Even like, I don't feel like you even had a temper in your past life. Like, I feel like you were just really just, you know, when someone just truly doesn't care, like, not saying that they don't care, you know, because we can say we don't care, but we care. You just truly didn't care. You didn't care. It was almost like life was boring, but creation was fun. And that's why it was like everything that everybody thought was fun and what you were supposed to do, you were just like, ugh. And then when you were creating, everybody couldn't understand why you were so focused on it. It's because that was fun. Yeah, joyful living. Choose to live joyfully every day. That's because whatever you made helped you connect with your inner child. Like, you knew this is what you wanted to do from the time you were little. So you never questioned it. You never were like, and you never let anybody talk you out of it. Like, if anybody tried to, you were just like, okay, and that's your opinion, but that's not my life. So later, like, you were just very clear about who you were. Yeah, go back to basics with the 4th house. You knew how to bring stability for yourself emotionally. We're not talking about financially here. We're talking about emotionally and spiritually as well. Look at that. Find your balance. Oh my gosh. What a synchronicity right now. Libra energy. Yeah, you knew how to find balance. You were very clear about that. Mountain goat, another balance, right? Have you ever seen a mountain goat climb up a mountain? It is absolutely terrifying and thrilling and awe-striking. There's something out of balance in your life, so do whatever you need to do to correct it. Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you, Source. So that could be what's going on right now, is that you're dealing with a lot of unbalanced situations, and it's because of this fear of choosing yourself the way that you did in a past life. And it's just learning something from a different angle. You know, we do that sometimes as spirits. We decide to try it a different way and see, well, what do I learn if I try life this way? Well, how's it gonna affect me if I try it this way? And that's exactly what's happening right now. So learning how to rebalance your life again. Failure. I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. And I feel like in your past life, you never felt like a failure, even though people may have said that you were, but I feel like that has held on to you. And now in this life, you feel like a failure. You could have also resonated with one of the other piles as well. This came out. Anger. Yeah. So for you, this is present life energy with the anger here. And you could have been angry about being dragged along to those situations. I just feel like you just didn't care enough to be angry. Like, nothing affected you in that way. And I feel like for now, it's like you still hear the snickers. You still hear the people making judgments. You still hear people saying things about you. And I feel like that's something that really angers you. It's a triggering situation for you, which is completely valid. But I feel like that's because your soul is trying to learn how to get back to that place of balance from a different way. You know, instead of being so sure, what happens if I come into this life and I'm not so sure? Will I still find that foundation? And that's what you're working towards. Mechanical. Going through the motions, checked out, and routine. Yeah, this makes so much sense. That's exactly what you were when you went to like those dinners or those parties or those balls or those galas, whatever. You were just really checked out. Like, you could have been really handsome or really beautiful and you could have had a lot of suitors and you just didn't care. you really just didn't care. Like if people asked you to dance, you were just going through the motions of dancing. Like if people asked to talk to you, most of the time you weren't even really present with the conversation. You were just doing the ahas and the ums to keep the conversation going. And then when you found a place to like split, you would split. So very routine for you. Yeah, empty. The truth is that you simply don't feel fulfilled. It's worth the wait to find true happiness. But for you, it was emptiness being around all these people. And true happiness for you was diving into whatever it was you could get your hands on to make, to create. And people were scared by that because, you know, they were raised to believe that in order for us to feel fulfilled, we have to be a part of society, an upstanding character in society. And that's such an illusion. And you saw right through it from the very beginning. And you never let it deter you from what you wanted to do. Oh, excuse me. Whew. All right, let's take a look at your card. We're going to read this from the book. The Mountain. Look at that. Standing in the flames in the mountain. Number 33. What? And 33 is all about creation, right? Yeah, it's your angels, your guides are with you, but it's all about creation. And that's exactly what I've been feeling this whole time is creation. You created something. And no matter how difficult it got, you still found a way to make it work. You were willing to go the distance for your creations. All right, 33. The mountain says the ascent, the peak, the insurmountable. Research mountains, find one that strikes you and stare at it for a while. Where is it? The pilgrim may be awakening in you. The summit calls. Contemplate Joseph Campbell's suggestion. You are the central mountain, and the central mountain is everywhere. It says a mountain stands eternally in our awareness, calling us towards its peak. It stirs up stoic and regal feelings, reminding us of the long line of spirits, sages, sadhus, and gods that made their humble thrones within its snowy peaks. Beware, though, as the mountain can affect us in two ways. It can inspire and enliven us to rise to new heights and peak experience, yet it can also create isolation, competitiveness, and an inflated sense of self. Standing upon its heights can activate the pursuit and the perfectionist in us, creating separation from those we deem to be below. No matter how high you ascend, remember that it is within the core of the mountain that the gems, minerals, and jewels reside. If you think it's all about going up, you're following the fool's path and missing the miner's magic. When light, you're grounded in the eternal, steadfast, and uplifting. When dark, you can be ominous, daunting, isolating, and frigid. To go deeper, check out Mary Oliver's The Poet Dreams of the Mountain. So I do feel like in this life, even though you were creating, there's times when you were definitely in the shadow because you isolated because of that creation. To you, the societal idea of connection just didn't make any sense to you. And so for most of the time, you were just going through the motions. And it was all about getting back to the climb. And in this life, it's almost like I don't even know where the climb begins. And I also feel like the same is true. Like you're still looking for that one person that you fit in with. And even though you had that person in your life that you went out of your way for, it still was never about the true connection. You were grateful that they were there. You were happy they were a part of your life. But at the same time, it was still just another way for you to reconnect with whatever it was that you were creating. So very, very wise mind in your past life, but very, very distant from humanity. So this is a powerful reading. This is what I see here for you, pile number 3. If you feel like this is your reading, leave the little mountain emoji down below and say, I choose to dig into the center of my core and find the diamond in the rough and allow myself to shine in a balanced state of mind. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. With that, I would like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very powerful message. And until next time, stay human. Bye.